I don't see my
Use the
thing.
Force, Luke.
Yeah, I'm just going to do it anyway.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna?
Cause it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
As welcome back, Winter Wolf here. We're going to bring Kingsley in a quick minute. We're doing something a little bit different just to keep up to speed in real time on a show we're actually enjoying watching. So we thought it behooves us to go ahead and get out ahead of things and not wait till later in the week. So I'm going to bring Kingsley in. We're going to talk about the Penguin episode 4. We're doing this on short notice. Kingsley's had a very busy weekend, but he's alive. He's energized. He's caffeinated. He's ready to go. I have been informed he doesn't drink coffee. So take that information as you may want to take that information. Dude, you ready to talk Penguin? Because I'm keyed up. Yes. I'm ready to go. I'm absolutely ready to go on this show. I'm pissed that nobody I texted last night after the show got back in real time to at least have a miniature discussion. Like nobody was awake last night after the show, and that really chapped my ass. It really did. need you old folks to stay up and stop acting. Stop acting your ages. I know where everybody's getting a little older, but I mean, your boy wants to talk about a show and not squeeze in any Acolyte references. You're going to want to do that. Oh, wait, that doesn't count. That didn't count as an Acolyte reference. But
$5 fine. I need to a push button and it like $5 fine. $5 fine.
We need. I'm telling you, we need like the alert thing. I got to get you one of those things called the Stream Deck. Get you the thing so you can just queue up the graphic and get it ready early at the one touch. Maybe get a video of a ref throwing a red flag, just throwing them out there. Yellow flag, not the red flag.
Yellow flag. Red flags for the instant replay.
Yep. Okay, we're not overturning anything. The Wolf definitely made another Acolyte review, and the King's not appreciating it. So I think I went strong last week. I think I hit you for like 4 of them. I know I got at least a hat trick. I worked that in there.
But all right, so let's start talking about something good.
Yeah, let's do this. The Penguin, episode 4. Lots to talk about on this show. Guys, once again, it does not disappoint. We're not doing ratings for this show because I think we've just decided that unless an episode is just off the rails bad, we'll criticize it based on those merits, whether or not it stacks. Because I'm 4 episodes in, and outside of a couple of minor nitpicks, I haven't seen anything that I would shred. Like nothing annoys me about this show. Everything seems to make sense. There's an air of mystique and some mystery and things that are not just going to be left to die on the vine. Like they're going to let certain things unfold. This episode was a perfect example of that. Yeah. We get interesting characterization from everybody that shows up on screen. And in particular, this week, I'm going to spend a special nod out to the extras, the women's prisoners within Arkham. Awesome. Especially the one that Sophia had to mix it up with. She was great. You know what I mean? So this show top to bottom is hitting every expectation that I didn't know I had because I wasn't expecting much out of the show. We've talked about that a bunch. I just wanted to get your very quick impression on the episode overall. Then I'll give them a little bit of a synopsis and we'll just have our chat. Let's roll.
So out of a show that was second mentioned, just happened to happen type thing, it is really delivering. And watching the commentary afterwards and listening to the showrunner and the director and all them talked about how they were trying to pull this out of them is just amazing. If you don't watch the extras at the end of a show, then why do you even like a show? You got to watch that stuff.
I am now. I am on this one. I'm sold on it now.
Yeah, this show is delivering on all different levels. You're getting great performances from Colin Farrell to his co-star here. I don't want to mess up her name, so I just call her Sophia.
It's Kristen Merloti.
Yes, I know her from How I Met Your Mother. It was the mother from.
Yes, you've said that before.
Yep,
that's right.
And she was also in Wolf of Wall Street. She was Jordan's first wife.
Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, dude, top to bottom performances all around just to get it started, like you said. Yep, go ahead, keep going. You got more. Keep going.
Yeah, what was the? I mean, out of all of this, the weakest performance is the guy who I know for having strong performances. So that just tells you something about the whole show. Is that the weakest performance is one of the strongest actors out there, and it wasn't weak by any curtails. I'm just saying based on still what happened in the episode. The doctor who quit, Dr. Rush. I know him as Shades from Luke Cage. He was in the Netflix Marvel
that's
series type
right.
stuff. Yeah.
That's right.
Tying together a whole bunch of different stuff here. He had the weakest performance, I think, but yet his performance was still awesome. So that just tells you the quality and the effort they're putting in this show.
Yes. As I said, maybe a better way to put that is that he had the least to do and still did an amazing job with what he did. Like his performance wasn't weak. He just didn't have much to do. You know, at this point, he might have more later. Who knows? Especially given how the episode ended. But we'll save that for last because that's explosive. Doesn't cover anything about how that went down. But I think so. All right, easy to say. Impressed again. Episode 4. Kingsley approves. Boom. Like you're digging what you're seeing. So now we're going to have our chat about it. Perfect. That's what I was thinking too. I wanted to hit it with the synopsis just so people can have the table set and know what happened. We'll do that warning that we do, like, ooh, yeah, guys, spoilers. We're talking about stuff that happened in the show. It's very difficult to talk about that kind of stuff without dipping into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the Penguin episode 4, check out, go watch it, come back, comment, let us know what you thought, all that good stuff. We'll be here. We're going to talk about this for a while. Don't worry about us. We'll be here.
Yeah.
Synopsis of the show. It's flashback time. Okay. It's your 1 episode per 8 episode flashback in a season. And we're going to talk about the adjunct to that I'm going to compare it to. And it sees a very quick introduction of a quick recap of the events that happened last week from a new perspective. We get a little bit of context added to what that looked like at the end of episode 3, when it looked like Oz and Sophia were about to get it from the Marconi family when they were on their knees until Vic showed up with the Superman act and saved half of them. And not the other half. So if I had a gripe about the episode, it's we didn't actually get any of that particular fallout for Oz yet, because the Penguin is not in this episode outside in present day at all, except for that recap in the beginning. We get him in the flashback for Sophia when they're 10 years younger, and that's and very limited there too. I might add, not a whole lot there too. But then the bulk of the episode are the events that sent Sophia into Arkham Asylum. How it got railroaded into having to go, how that whole phenomenon was a bigger deal than Oz just got her there. Like all of the context and backstory they added was like layered and like railroaded her into Arkham. And then she gets stuck into staying there unexpectedly. And that's what destroys her and rebuilds her into somebody new. But it's all that whole hour long is basically that experience of hers in Arkham. And then like the last maybe 8 minutes of the fallout of her getting out of Arkham, being home for 2 days, and then had 2-3 days after, not 2 weeks, whatever it was, after her father's death, and then Alberto's death literally like the next day when Oz shoots him up like the next day, and then how she steps into her own. Lots of great visual cues, like Kingsley was saying, guys, stick around after that episode. Like fast forward through the credits or whatever and get to the part where the directors, the head of makeup, the head of hair, the head of costuming, and they're all talking about the level of thought that they put into all these different dynamics and aspects of the show. It's amazingly inspiring to see the level of thought put into the craft. Refreshing, I thought. But I did I miss anything in the synopsis? It's the end of episode 3, the Arkham stuff, and then I'm calling it the fallout. There's no other word to call it, dude.
You gave more of a 500-word essay than a synopsis.
Yeah, we're working on the format, but like we usually do, we're gonna jump around. I think the only thing we should skip is starting off with the ending. I think we should work through the episode a little bit, and then we'll wrap chat with the endings. I don't know. What do you want to talk about first in this? We'll talk about the review of episode 3, the Arkham stuff. What do you want? Like, you take the first bite.
Well, if you follow throughout the series, you see them always hinting at like what Penguin did to her. Like he the whole conversation at the end of episode 3 out there, and he's like, am I upset about it? He's like, I'm sorry for it every day. And then you see in this episode that he never meant for it to go that far. He was just trying to get her a little talking to, trying to get her away from what she was doing, and it turned into a much bigger deal. But he wasn't apologetic about it because he's like, look what I got. Look where I'm at now. And he's like, I'm not sorry for where I'm at. I'm sorry that it happened to you, but I'm not sorry for what I got. And now we get to explore this whole conversation they had in detail of what actually happened to her. And it starts with some childhood trauma and builds up to her the events that led to her going to Arkham, then led to her in Arkham up into back to present day is how it went. So it's a very interesting story of what people actually go through when, and now you have to take this back to like, this is set like in 1950s type mental health care type stuff that they're doing to her.
It's supposed to be old school, even though it's modern day. Like
Yeah.
that's the angle they took to treatment. Yep, for sure. No,
So
you're 100% right. Yeah, keep going. Man. Keep going. You're good.
oh no, the way they built her characters, like you have like you did tell there was depth to her, but you really haven't explored into it, and it was like more of her life after Arkham and her trying to get her life back. And this is episode realizes you can never go back home.
Dude, I thought I'm just we're calling her Sophia so we don't butcher her, her real life last name. Fantastic. They essentially got her to play two different characters. There's such a drastic difference between Sophia before and Sophia after Arkham. Like when they give us this setup before she's kind of set up to take the fall, because her father's like, all right, I thought you were the chosen one. You seems like you kind of got some ratty behavior and you were going to send you to Arkham, get you out of the way kind of thing. I wasn't expecting that. I'm not familiar with the character. I'm not familiar with the crime family side of the Batman stuff as much. I haven't read up a whole lot on that kind of stuff. So if that was all known to people, I hope you guys all enjoyed it and didn't find it too predictable. I got knocked off my ass when it was all explained out. I thought that was great. But they very wisely, this is stuff that I love to talk about, they very wisely showed this character before Arkham, very simply dressed, younger looking, no tics, no mannerisms, hair very, simple ponytail. Not weak, but softer spoken, more prone to the various socialites she's interacting with, being able to like take on her time and energy, like that kind of thing. And then you get that gradual breakdown as the rug is pulled out from underneath her. It gets pulled out once when she thinks, oh, daddy loves me more than Alberto. Oh, daddy's going to give me the company, the family. Oh my God, great, fantastic. And then little by little, she makes the one bad choice, which is but she didn't. I don't even think she really made the choice. Oz drives her to talk to the reporter, and of course, the family has a rule against you can't talk to cops, obviously, unless we own them, and you definitely don't talk to the press. Why would you ever talk to the press, you dummy? But of course, she had her reasons. It's not like she randomly decided to be all like, "F the patriarchy, I'm going to go do what my daddy taught me not to." We get more backstory into. There's the death of several women who have all been kind of identified by police as being employees of the 44 Below, like the club below the Iceberg Lounge, like the private club.
Yep, and
right?
if you watch the Batman, they reference that as well. The club
right.
inside the club.
Right, Falcone owned, operated. They're their girls, and they give us enough backstory within those first few minutes of that setup to let you know, hey, Sophia actually didn't kill these. I thought it was pretty clear at that point. We get that one little bitty scene where she finds her mother, who we knew had taken her own life, right? And they add a couple of clues to let it in that it's the dad. Spoiler alert. They're like the dad the dad appointed people to knock off these chicks, but effectively the Hangman is a construct that was invented to get her booted out of Dodge.
Well,
they had to lay all that in.
Well, it was like she had more questions, and then she was figuring things out that it was her father who was strangling these women, just like he strangled his mom. Because at
least the mom,
when she was 9 and her mom supposedly took her own life, he said that there were scratch marks on his hands, and then when she saw the pictures of the other women where they had the defensive marks on her hands, it reminded her of her mother's hands. Like it started.
And it reminded her of the defensive wound on her dad's hand when he grabbed her up and he looked down. He had the 3 nasty gouges on his hands, which exactly would be if you were trying to pull somebody away from you. So you're right. I thought they tied all that together nicely. And then that's where the railroading happens. Is they're whatever, they were at Dad's birthday.
Yep.
I think it was Dad's birthday, where she brings him a gift. He's like, "Why were you talking to the press?" And she's like, she knows right away. It's like, "Did Oz tell you that?" He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking. I love these people. They're all their first instinct is not. He doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. It's like that. That's always the go-to. So I'd be like, if I was in this world, like if you ever responded to my inquiry with that answer, I know you're lying. It's like the default setting for these guys, right? But that ends up, that sets up, that's the inciting incident there. That's like the catalyst. That's what blows up in her face, is Dad deciding you now need to leave.
Yeah,
Oz will drive you home.
We gotta put. Well, it was that she needed to leave for the whole setup that led to the whole the meat of this whole episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is as she's being driven home, she gets pulled over. Of course, it's the not yet crackhead cop that's on the family's payroll, Kenzie. That's their guy. That's the guy that sprung the other mafia guy out of the hospital that Oz wound up gutting, which was savage.
Yeah.
So she gets picked up. They bring her to Arkham. That whole processing the prisoner bit, brutal, gritty. I thought savagely realistic, like the delousing. The OB exam was like next level cringe, and I don't even want to imagine what that would be like for people. Like that just looked terrible. But it's legit. Like I've worked in enough inpatient settings on that kind of level to know sometimes that's how people get checked in. Like it's not fun. And you could see all of that impact, all that damage on her, and that's just up front. Like that's just the tip of the iceberg for the crap she's got to go through.
But did you notice the changing in lighting and color too? As soon as she left soon as they left the police station, where they're like, it's time to go, and they threw her in there, the lighting change, the color change, where it got darker and dingier, and like all of the walls, just like you didn't want to touch those walls. They just looked disgusting. The doctor's equipment was still silver, but it's like, has it been sanitized? And just the whole look and feel of Arkham, where it would just make it look dark, dingy, a place you don't want to be. I mean, you don't want to be in prison anyways, and they usually light prisons that way on the to make it look like this is not a place you want to be. The only time they ever light it well is mostly in a comedy when it comes to prison. Yeah. But this one, they took it to a nuts level. Like we've talked to before about certain movies and shows where it looks lived in. It looks like this building was built in like the 1900s, and somehow they, with like glue and bubble gum, it's still together, and they haven't upgraded anything in it except for electrical lighting.
Yeah, for sure.
So just the look and feel of this whole episode was amazing.
I'll take it a couple of frames back to even just the color and things. After I had watched the end credits stuff where the directors were all talking about the things they did, they basically confirmed a bunch of the stuff that you just mentioned. Like all that stuff was done intentionally. Like, none of this stuff was done by accident. Where when she's talking at the domestic violence benefit, I think that's what the first thing was, or the foundation that she heads up through her dad. Very brightly lit, dude. Flowers everywhere. It looked all ritzy, hoity-toity, posh. Like you could see a bunch of like limousine liberal types donating tons of money to take pictures with the mayor's wife at a function like this. You know what I mean? It's very high society.
The congressman's wife was there.
The congressman. That's what those people, but yes, specifically in this show, they have setup lines about that. It was, we finally got it. We finally got to take our call. Like that kind of thing. But like, so you start there in that setup, and then like you said, it's like an express elevator to hell in like 3 minutes. Just like gone, over and done. She gets arrested. The cops aren't messing around. You know, I'm surprised there were no guns drawn on Oz, but I mean, all right, cool, whatever. But like everybody's disrespecting him still. We get to see the degradation of that relationship, as you know, because she's basically told him to fuck off. Nobody cares what you think. I don't care what you think. Like you're just you're barely my driver or whatever she says. So you can already see that the friction that's building.
What I think it was that she had so much on her mind, and she's going through the flashbacks of the childhood trauma where she just didn't want people to talk to her. She wanted to try to get that get everything out of her head. I think that's where she went after Oz and snapped at Oz at that. Because like she still stood up for him at times. Like her brother calls like, "Hey, Penguin's gonna have to clean this up," and she's like, "Don't call him that." And then like the
But
night
that was all
he turned
earlier
her
after
in-
she figured out that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. When she had figured out, because basically Dad didn't lie, Dad didn't bother covering for him. Like, no, I just know it wasn't Oz. Like she puts him on blast after that because he's the one that drives her until she gets arrested. And they do have that exchange, you know, front to back seat about you know, you basically ain't shit. My dad sees you now. You know, you got what you wanted, didn't you? You know, like that. It was that kind of back and forth. And dude, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time, and I'm not going to do it in lesser shows where these are the beats that are missing from those shows, where we waste time talking about stuff, or they waste time, not us. They waste so much time talking about shit that doesn't drive the plot forward, doesn't inform us about character backstory, doesn't
or link it or
shadow.
link it to
Right.
something.
Dude, it's just wasted effort.
Yes.
But every word these people say to each other has an impact later or in real time. It develops those relationships in real time. We talked last week about the exchange between Vic and Oz in the bathroom, where he's like, "Oh, I did all this for you, and all you feel is this." When he had the gun to the kid's head, he's like, "We did all this together, but all you know is this." You know, and I'm like, okay, that's informing Oz, Vic, Oz's understanding of Vic, Vic's rebuttal to that whole thing where he finally nuts up and tells him to F off and then he leaves. You know what I mean? And this episode, it does exactly the same thing. There was never a time I felt when we put two people together and I didn't understand everything that was going on, what represented what to who, what each person wanted from the given exchange. It's I said earlier, it's refreshing, man. It's refreshing. I feel like most TV used to be like this and then it wasn't. And now when we get like dribs of it, we're like, it's great. It's fucking awesome. But this is actually really good. I don't think we're overstating that.
Yeah, and this is one of the things, like I've categorized shows into like three types of shows. One, you have your sitcom where it's pretty much your funny moment of the day with a very light underlining linking story. Then you have your top dramas and your Star Treks where you had your monster of the week with a very light linking story. Criminal Minds is really good at this. You have your weekly unsub, but then you have your underlining story that's going throughout the entire season. Right. And then you have shows like this where it's one continuous story that just you keep picking up and you get deeper and deeper and deeper in the story. And that's one of the things I really liked about this. It's one because they don't have a lot of these shows where you get deeper and deeper. So much of them are superficial and surface layer. You don't get to go deep and actually feel what the characters are feeling. It's more of listen to the words I'm saying instead of watch how my face is reacting to this, which that had some great moments in this, especially in the part where we're about to get to where the Arkham Asylum and the building of a monster.
Dude, and that was that the title of the episode was what, Centani?
Yeah,
the Italian word for new beginning, I think is what it translates to. I don't speak Italian, I'm just guessing. Dude, building a monster might have been a great like B title, like that might have been like the working title until they decided. Because dude, you're not wrong. From the minute she gets in there and the door closes behind her and gives you just like out of the Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, that door slams behind you. Yeah, the Morgan Freeman line. Like you can tell, like she's instantly going to pieces because she knows she got railroaded, and she has to reconcile that even before she can deal with like the cartoon character nightmare that must be Arkham Asylum. Because remember, before she got there, she's in a room. She's somewhere in like the court system, courthouse, wherever, with her brother and her lawyer. And the lawyer's like, I don't know, man. Your dad said you're unfit to stand trial and you've been acting weird for a while. We got 10 documents here signed by all your family members that say you ain't been right since you found your mom and that you got a propensity to hurt animals. And she's like, the fuck? What?
Yeah,
like,
she was reading signed affidavits from her family members who were saying that she's been mentally sick for a while, and the
like,
tendency
for like
to hurt
since her mom died for like 10 years, for 15 years, whatever it was, right? And they threw in the animal killing thing for good measure to really sell it. And of course, because we know the Falcone family is powerful crime family, they probably didn't need 10 affidavits because the judge probably was in the pocket. You know what I mean? like
the judge,
a big
over
daddy
half
Falcone,
the police
the
force,
cops, right?
which you see in the movie The Batman. He even said that
Right.
like, you guys work for me, and then that Commissioner Gordon's like, not all of us.
Not all of us. Who knows? Balls line. That was a highlight of that movie, which I did not enjoy that much, but still. But so we already know that Falcone is basically Zeus in this world. Like what he says goes when it comes to matters of the law and lawfare and things like that. So if he's going to put especially a family member like in somewhere for treatment so she gets better, it's just going down. Like there's no way around that, right? But what I thought was interesting about that scene was we get to see Alberto not being a junkie. He obviously cares for his sister. He wasn't invited to be in on the railroading because Papa Falcone probably knew he couldn't get them to. They're not twins, right? She's older sister,
she's the
he's
oldest.
younger brother, but that's what I thought, right? But he was obviously, like she mentioned to Oz earlier in the episode, you have a dick, you're up for a promotion.
Yeah.
Like she was never going to get the family. Okay, I couldn't remember.
But then he said that she was going to get the family, and the family would do what he says. But then all of this went down.
Well, right, but that's what I mean. Like, so she made the bad choice. I mean, it ended up being bad. It was probably the right choice, I guess, to maybe protect these women, to find out, say their name, all that nonsense, right? So when she gets sent in, she knows the door just closed behind her, but his parting words to her are like, listen, you do your 6 months, we're going to get an appeal, we're going to get a retrial. You just got to go through the screening, and they're going to see you're not crazy because you're not crazy.
Yeah, because that's what happened to her, is that they said that she
Right.
wasn't go straight to trial. They said that she was mentally and had to be evaluated, and they couldn't get her a trial date for 6 months. So she had to do Arkham for 6 months.
Right. Nonsense.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
And then at the end, and while she's in Arkham, like she had to fight for her life. She was making friends, and you can just see the unraveling of her. And it starts with like she sees something on the wall and she peels it, and it's like the family wallpaper behind it.
It was the wallpaper of her mom's bedroom where she found the body.
Yeah. And you see her unraveling, yet still declaring her innocence. And then that's when the Dr. Rush's big line was like, what if she's telling the truth? And he's like,
that was good
Doctor.
shit. Oh, because clearly, Dr. Ventris. I think it was Ventris, right? It was like, slow down, dude. That's not what we do here. We're going to just cash our checks and be okay. Mm-hmm. But dude, I love that slow breakdown, because we saw, like we were talking about the check-in process to Arkham. Like they strip this chick. Dude, it's basically a sexual assault. It looked awful, right? Yep. They throw her in the jump. They scrub her up, delouse her and everything like that. They hit her with the OB exam, which terrible. It just sounds terrible. But my one nitpick, and our good friend the Armorist texted me about it after she watched it too. She's like, they want me to believe they let this chick in Arkham with acrylic fingernails? Probably not. Because if you notice later in the episode, she still had them. But that got me to thinking, was this an angle they were playing because were we seeing it through Sophia's POV? And so she's unreliable narrator, and that's just how she imagined herself? Because, and by all policy anywhere, there's no chance she got to bring them in. No chance.
What
do you think?
Seeing is, it's like soon as she's taken out, you notice that there's a change in camera. It goes from less dolly shots in like steady cam to handheld. Yep. It's more shaky, it's more chaotic. Yep. And you literally start seeing her break down, and you get into her head. Like a lot of the stuff that you're seeing isn't really happening. Like the electrical shock, it's happening, but like her in her room peeling the stuff, that's not
ECT
you're in her head. Yeah. And then you saw her mother hanging in there, which then she woke up choking, and you notice her fingers were changing. Like she had it where she was in her mental state. She was still trying to cling on to who she was while fighting what they're trying to make her become, and take the fall for her dad, because her dad set this whole up. That's the reason why the doctor was in their pocket too. That's why he wrote the report instead of Dr. Rush, because Dr. Rush was supposed to do the eval, but yet the other guy stepped in, who went over his head and wrote the report and sent to the judge saying she was unfit to stand trial, and she needs
automatically
to be
go to jail.
Yeah.
See,
so she doesn't get due
that.
Process.
No, she got that's why I said railroaded. Like I'm using the old school. She definitely gave us a bit of that inside the head to see it. And I thought the other standout part that I wasn't sure if it was real or not, but then I'm like, it's Arkham. We know they're dirty. Arkham, in every version of Arkham, has never not been a dirty place to be in terms of like the corruption, the violence. It's not a hospital that's treating people. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when we get to that part where she's eating her first meal and she's with Magpie, who initially I thought might not have been real either, but we saw about that. We'll talk about that next. When she's eating the first meal, and the other actress who I already sent the shout out to for just looking like a psychopath, like that woman is crazy, dude. Better performance. Oh, I can't do it. I promised you I wouldn't do it.
Just better performance.
You know what I'm gonna say?
Just a
better performance than that other show. And dude, she was an extra without a name that had to shift gears from crazy to violent to desperate to pleading in the little arc they gave her. But my focal point there was when Sophia first realizes that this chick's wandering around the mess hall and she's the only person not secured. I'm like, oh, is this a boogeyman in her head? Like, is she seeing ghosts? Like, what's the not real ghosts? You know what I mean? Like, has she invented a what's the word I'm looking for? A persecutor. Like, has she invented a demon that way? When she gets to go have her psychotic breaks, because it looked like after the chick beat her down, she wakes up in her cell, and I'm like, this will be the part where they come in and talk to her, and they'll be like, there was nobody there. Were you having a seizure? But her fucking arm is like broken and bruised and shit because this chick stomped the shit out of her. I'm like, oh, so they actually did just let her beat the crap out of you.
Yeah, did you see the guards standing around just watching too?
Dude, Ventress is there. The doctor's there.
Yeah.
No, Rush was there the first time. Ventress was there the second time when the fork got introduced. We'll talk about that. So I wasn't sure if it was real or not, but now I'm like, dude, I think everything was real, and they probably just forgot to take the acrylic fingernails off of her because they weren't done shooting the other scenes where she might have needed them. So I'll let that slip. And if that's the only slip that they had, it doesn't matter because I was still so like cringed at watching her treatment on the way in that I didn't care that they might have overlooked that tiny ass detail. You know what I mean? Like, you let that slide when everything else is up here. You can get away with a miniature fire in space. I didn't say the name. That didn't count. You know what I mean? I know I'm right up against it.
You need to find something else to compare stuff to.
I can't do it. It was so bad. Dude, I mean, do you want to go rewatch Secret Invasion so we can do that again?
No.
You want to watch Ahsoka again? No.
And yet I don't bring them up.
I know.
They're gone.
It broke my brain, dude.
They're dead.
My brain.
They're dead to me.
It broke my brain. But so she's surviving through Arkham. She does her 6 months. The shit hits the fan when Alberto comes back in at like the 6 month mark, or right leading
like
up against
the day before she's supposed to start having
trial. It was basically getting denied parole, right? He's like, listen, sis, I don't know what happened. I think dad punched it through, and then he gives her the breakdown that you just mentioned. What does he tell her? He says, oh, there's not going to be a trial, like Ventress's report.
Yeah, because she thought it was Rush at first. She's like, Rush wouldn't do that. And it was like Ventress sent up the report.
Oh yeah, that hurt because you could see the look on her eyes, and you know this is the descent. Like, you thought you had just seen the descent. Nope.
And that's when Magpie bites it, and she still yells, and I'm innocent.
Dude, I wanted to use this as the screenshot, but I wasn't sure for the thumbnail. I wasn't sure if YouTube would let me put that kind of blood on a thumb. So I was like, let me not do it. But like, Magpie's talking to her, and she's doing her and guys, if you haven't seen the show, Magpie is like this schizophrenic, assumedly well-meaning kind of chatterbox friendly. Oh, I'm so glad you get to stay, she says to her. We can celebrate birthdays and holidays, and we can be best friends and this and that. And Sophia goes right through the whole, okay, you're spying on me. Did my dad put you up to this? Did Ventress put you up to this? Yeah. Like, what's your angle? What are you out for? Are you working for them? And I'm like, oh, here it comes. I had to sit back in the chair. I was like, it's going to happen. Dude, she destroyed this chick's face on the table. Like, kaplamp, like 4 or 5 dunks. You get the spray. And then, like you just said, she's looking dead ass into the camera. Like, dude, she could have looked through your soul if she wanted to. And she's like, I'm fucking innocent. I'm like, I don't think you know what that word means, man. That's not what that word means. Like, you're boned. Like, if you thought you had a shot, it's gone. Like, now they legit have you, you know?
And then that was
oh my God, it was bad.
a great transition point. They eject her, she falls back, and then she wakes up and is back to present day. She's in Rush's apartment, who came to get her after the events of episode 3. And then we get to move forward. A lot of, talk at the, we're not going beat by beat. So we're not going to talk about
Hold
what
on,
happened
slow
at
down.
Rush's apartment.
Wait. Dude, you hold on. As I say, we don't need to do beat by beat at the apartment, but she has that moment of I'm a new character now in the apartment where he's like, maybe it's for the best, because she mentions, I have no resources, no allies. And if I don't get to Sicily by tomorrow, well, which is basically like, my family's going to come finish the job. And then he says what he says, maybe it'd be good for you, fresh start. And he's saying all the right therapist shit. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Except she gets like super close to him. And I thought for a second she was going to kill him or kiss him or something. But she's basically like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, she talked about like how all the men in her life have been lying to
Right.
her and stuff like that. And then she thinks that he's like trying to manipulate her too. So she's like, nope, no more. He goes, maybe I do need a fresh start. And then we get to the red wedding of the Penguin.
Dude, I'm going to call it the yellow wedding. I want to be the first. We're coining it here. Yellow wedding. Calling it the yellow wedding. Right? Of course, now we just buried the lead on like the whole rest of the 10 minutes. Dude, let me ask you this. Leading into that segment, did you have any inkling? I don't know if you've read any of the books that I'm sure some of this is derived from. Did you have any idea that we were going to get a yellow wedding situation? I kind of had a feeling she was going to go kill Johnny or get one of them or something, you know what I mean? Like make a statement like that. I had no idea what was going to go down. Did you know did you read any of these other storylines and have it?
I didn't. No, I've never read the comic book that her character is based off of.
Okay.
Just understanding stories and then the toast and new beginnings. I knew something was going to happen.
You thought it was going to go that big though? Really?
Yeah. I had the feeling like it's going to start. It's going to start something. So,
I mean, dude, at best, I remember sitting there and I was so into the episode that I didn't message anybody during. I was like, dude, I don't know what's going to happen next. I thought maybe we were going to get some literal red wedding shit where everybody's in there. She's going to ask the little girl, like her niece or whatever, hey, go play with your toys somewhere or some bullshit. And then like the triad was going to show up and just lay it down. I was thinking basic bitch.
That's
I figured
too
they might
predictable.
do that.
That's too basic.
Dude. And the minute I said that shit in my head out loud last night, I was like, nope, not her style. And it's just not who she is, because they already told you she doesn't have that kind of clout. That she has no allies, no resources. She probably could not make that happen because and now that I think of it, the triad deal must have all fallen apart if Vic rescued Oz, left her to die at the hands of the Marcones. Like there were enough people alive that knew this was all a sham. I mean, the Marcone's wife is still alive. Marconi's wife is still alive in that sequence. So she could know there's some bullshit going on. So fast forward. Sorry, I got a sidetracked. She shows up back to the house. Everybody's having a nice Italian dinner. She rolls in this smoke show canary yellow skin tight dress, some odd eye makeup, and her hair is done kind of weird, I would say. Like it is a present day thing, and she looks like she's old school in it somehow. I'm like, oh, she's a cartoon. Oh, dude, she's too fine. She's got that one shot where she walks up to the window and you get to see the rear end of that shot. Yeah. I ain't ashamed. It is what it is. Anyway, she does the psycho speech thing where I'm not good at speeches. And I thought she was going to do like platitudes and then fuck you all, good night. But no, the speech really turns into not one of you fuckers help me. It was all you. F everybody. But then she lies.
I have a
like,
lower body count than like the weakest guy.
Milos or something.
Milos, yeah.
Milos. Yeah. I was like, okay, all right, put it out there. She singles out Johnny Vitti for a little back and forth. She singles out Carla again, the aunt or the mother of the little girl who she had seen earlier a couple episodes ago and
like
remembered that she was one of the ones that screwed her. Right.
Yeah, and then
like
she's one who signed when the alpha dated.
Even though you screwed me. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So again, it retroactively, again, this is what a good flashback episode does. Not that was part of the flashback, but it's like it adds context to an exchange we had seen a couple of weeks ago. We already knew there was something off between them because, the little girl, she kind of shelters the little girl away from Auntie, who's crazy. you know, but now you're like, oh, okay. So there's legit some bad blood between these two because you basically sent me to Arkham for a decade and it was awful. Shocking.
Yeah.
So she runs through the speech.
That's the part that got me because I thought, okay, it was like the 6 months, and I thought that was going to be the end of it. Then when at the end, like they saw that she was staying in, I didn't know how much longer she stayed in for 9.5 more years of that.
But they talked about that. They talked about that in episode 1, like when she re-enters the picture.
It totally like lost in my mind.
How long has it been?
Like 10 years of going through
literal.
that.
Yep. Dude, savage. Like you said, dude, there's no good version of Arkham anywhere you've ever read, watched, or played.
No,
like it's not a good thing, you know. So she has her speech. It quietly transitions to her going to get the girl. I think the little girl's name is Gia. I'm pretty sure
she goes
Gia.
to her room real quick, but we find out later it is in her room.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And this is a part that I had that I didn't get, and I had to re-clarify it. She leaves the party. Everybody's still at dinner. She goes to a room, lights a cigarette, opens a window, and then kind of adjusts it a little bit. And I'm like, okay, that's odd. And then she gets the little girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and it's
dude,
late. It's later at
kid.
night.
It's weird. Everybody's asleep. Kids in the PJs, got the backpack, got the jacket on. Like, dude, she's gonna take this kid out to the woods and kill her. Like, this is gonna be bad. And she's still got the yellow dress and the heels on. So, dude, it's all very off-putting and weird. Like, it's tense. She said, "Oh, you know, I have cake," because they had set that up because the last thing the little girl said when she got sent away from the was, "Oh, Daddy said there's gonna be cake, right?" So Auntie Sophia's like, "I got a end piece with your name on it. It's double chocolate, but we got to eat it outside in the greenhouse." And I'm like, "Oh God, please no more. Don't hurt this kid." Oh my God.
For me, when she said we had to eat on the greenhouse, I knew the kid wasn't in trouble anymore. I thought she was going to blow the house up, destroy the whole fort.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was going to be that. And like,
you thought that was minimum safe distance?
Yeah. Once the kid was out of the house, I knew the kid wasn't going to be the target.
I thought we were going to get the whole, and then the body was found the next day thing. That's 100% where I thought it was going. Like, she's going to hurt Carla the only way she could hurt her. But then you're right. That wouldn't have made sense based on she wanted to protect she wanted justice for the victims of the strangulation. So yeah, I should have saw that.
And she sees her as an innocent that she was when she got thrown in. And it also wouldn't go with the whole new beginning because it goes back and it ties back into her and her dad's first conversation you see them have, where he said under and give you all of this.
Yep.
He's like,
I should have put a little bit more of that together.
Yeah.
Good call. So he gets her outside. She gets her outside. They eat the cake. She's, "Oh, you know, your Uncle Alberto and I used to hang out here all night. We'd sleep and blankets, and it was great, and this and that. And we pretend we're in a jungle and everything else." So the little girl falls asleep. There's nothing super insidious about it until dawn. What's her face wakes up. Little girl wakes up. She goes, "Go back to sleep, baby." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Now it's getting weird." And then she goes inside. Kingsley, it's your show now. What happened inside?
So inside, like, you wonder what she's going to do. She's carrying a backpack and she pulls something out of it. You can't really see it because it's a fast movement type thing. When she goes in, you see like two people laying on the ground. I'm like, well, did she kill them before she took the kids out? Because I couldn't see any gunshot wounds or anything like that.
There's nothing obvious. Nothing obvious.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you go and you see two more people. I'm like, did she poison them? I'm like, no, wait, she ate the food. Well, she ate the meatballs.
I thought it was the wine.
The pasta.
I thought it was the wine, right?
But she drank the wine.
Meatballs. That's what I was, dude. That's what I'm saying. I agree. I'm like, couldn't have been that.
Yep. And then she goes down, and then you see that she's wearing a gas mask, and she hooked it up to
gas mask, dude.
She hooked it up to like the output of like the heater or something. So it's the CO2.
It was basically the furnace exhaust.
Yeah, going into the AC vents and being pumped through the house. And so she goes through and she verifies everyone's dead, opens up the door. So pretty much she kills off the whole
everybody at dinner.
The Falcone.
All the Falcones.
Yeah, the Falcone family leadership. And then she walks into the room and the window's open and she grabs a gun off the nightstand and it's good old Johnny. And she's like, "Put your pants on. We need to talk."
And fade to black. I'm like, wait a minute. No, there needs to be 10 more minutes. What the hell's going on here?
No, that's the
Oh my
perfect
God.
way to end it. That's the perfect.
I know.
way to
I'm just
end
saying,
this.
as a viewer, I want it. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm in more. Like right now, where's episode 5? Dude, I thought, because I hadn't figured out, because I think that was obviously that was the surprise reveal, was that it was not her bedroom. You know what I mean? So when she picked the gun off the nightstand, the angle that they took through the door, I didn't notice. Like, I couldn't tell there was somebody in bed. Did I just miss that? Or was that not apparent until she tapped him with the gun?
It looked like the bed was messed up, but it didn't look like there was
True.
anyone in it until she tapped
That's
him
what I
on
mean. That's what I'm
foot.
saying. You didn't see like a guy's bare shoulder from behind, like sleeping away from the camera or anything like
and
that.
then you're wondering, who did she leave alive?
What I was wondering who before we even got there was because they stretched that out. Woo, that was like a tense, like 5, 8 seconds, 10 seconds. When she picked the gun up before she tapped him, she's looking at herself in the mirror. She starts bringing the gun up to her head. She pushes her hair back. I'm like,
yeah, because she took the mask.
The gas
mask off.
Dude, right. Like, dude, is she gonna shoot herself? Is this character done? Because I could see that also being a thing.
She still has
revenge on everybody. You saved the kid.
She hasn't had revenge on Oz yet. On Oz.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I was thinking too short term. But so yeah, she wakes up Johnny V. Dude, Johnny V, do you need to count his lucky ass stars she picked him?
Third time?
Third
time he's been spared? He's
I'm
more lives than a cat.
I'm like, wait a minute, dude. This
Bad
guy should
Penny
be
always
dead 9
turning up.
times over. He ought to be dead 9 times over, and he's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a good, I mean, he is what he is, but to her directly, specifically, kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So
I love the actor. He does really good in the Jack Ryan series too, as Mike. So if he comes into season 2, you start seeing him in season 2. So
see, this one. So we were saying at the beginning, like the show is just full of people that are just qualified actors, like banging out roles. And then a showrunner and a director who cares about what is being put out there and how they can make the best version of it. I mean, dude, did you hear? I mean, you said you watched all the after credits stuff, like the chat about all.
I watched a little bit. I was in and out of the room at that point, but I was still picking up on things. Yeah,
dude, just as a filmmaker, go back and watch all 8 minutes of that. Just because there's 2 in particular, and I don't remember who was what. There was like the head of makeup and the head of hairstyling and costume or something, right? But each of them had in the 20 seconds of like explanation screen time they had. We're just talking about how they put so much thought into how Sophia's hair should look differently compared to when she was younger, not only versus the rat's nest, obviously the one that's in Arkham, but how we've seen her since she's been out of Arkham, even leading into this episode where it becomes like we had on our background picture, you know, that they put thought into it, that at one point it's controlled and simple and innocent. And then in other places it's wild and off the chain. And then it's new. It's just something different. And the same thing with the color selection. They talked about the dress. They talked about her makeup and how the eye makeup at the end, they wanted it to, they were inspired by war paint, I think they said, but they didn't want to do anything crazy. They knew they couldn't do that. It wouldn't make sense, but they wanted it to have something visually striking and like something you'd remember. And I'm like, yep, it's like half circles over the eyes. Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
The extended out, which is a fashion now. Like I've seen girls.
Girls been doing that. Girls been doing that for years. Yep.
Yeah, it shows
so much thought, man.
It shows like I said, other shows use dialogue to tell everything. This one is using visual cues, how movies are meant to be. If you don't have visual cues and stuff like that, then what's the point of, you can listen to it on radio and get the same thing from it if it's driven by dialogue. This is driven by visual, and dialogue just enhances it, just like the music.
I mean, even on top of it, even on top of like the visuals and the sound cues that you're talking about, let's talk about the body language in parts of this episode in a couple of places. Like we were talking about her getting up close and personal with the therapist. She kind of very sultry, just like rolls up into his space and chin tilts up because she's shorter than he is. And I'm like, okay, this is seductive and weird and like, oh my God. But then also the crazy lady in the prison with her weird mannerisms that was very Pennywise with the drop shoulders, and then she slowly comes to the table and boom, slams the hand down. I bet that was ad lib because the reaction on Sophia looked authentic. Like it looked like she was briefly startled in that moment, the way you would be if you were just in a room, I was talking to you, and all of a sudden I pounded the desk without context that I was going to do that. You know, it would elicit a natural response from you, just loud sound. And I feel like this show has all of that because we've talked about spacing and the distance between people in different shots, how she can present herself, where she can get into small spaces like that, where Vic is unsure of himself with the girlfriend when she's all up in Vic's when she's in Oz's apartment, or when he's in the club and he starts to get overwhelmed with the PTSD from losing his family stuff. All of that's body language. None of that's present in crappy shows. You know, it's like you said, this show hits every level of thing it needs to hit to tell its story. And that's why it's, dude, I'd love to see some numbers on this. I'm gonna have to get on Samba TV tonight and just pull some digits and maybe just do like a standalone analysis of some figures, because it's been a wild ride. It sucks that there's only 8 episodes, man. That's a major bummer.
They were talking about the design of the penguin and like how they did his eyebrows, kind of like a king penguin, to give him a more penguin type look. When they were describing how they're going to do his eyebrows and like how they build his face and the way his nose looks like a beat from certain angles to build a more penguin-y type. The art department, the hair and makeup, spot on in this. I love the wardrobe. They've been doing really well with keeping this like straight, like gangster. Like you don't have over the top outfits. You don't have suits with rubber nipples. So it's like
not yet.
So this is how you do a show to set it in what could feel real for a Batman. Like if Batman really did live in like a town that was a mixture of New York and Chicago.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, I think the only other thing I wanted to talk about in this episode, as we come up on our time, is I wanted to make that necessary Last of Us comparison, with this being also a flashback episode. You know, Last of Us historically or famously or infamously gets the nod of having, what was that, episode 3? I think it was. It was like 3. The episode where it's a bottle episode that shows us a couple of characters, how they met, the life they had after the outbreak and surviving and this and that. But and it was fine as a dramatic piece. We all said that. We're not here to support anybody being bigoted against gay people or anything like that. But the drawback to that episode on The Last of Us was, if we took that episode away and just set it aside,
there's no change of the story.
Not a damn thing. So with this episode for Penguin, I was enjoying it for all those same reasons that I enjoyed as a standalone episode, The Last of Us. But I said, if I'm going to be fair, I'm going to have to talk about how this didn't move the story forward. And then the last 10 minutes happened. And I was like, oh, snap. We're back present day to bookend this episode. And the story is imminently, empirically changed, massively changed at the end of this episode. Now there's and on top of that, it's another door of no going back for her. Like the last episode ended with Vic, with Oz telling Vic, remember, we're in it now, man. We're in it fucking now. Now
there's no way going back from
him. No, dude,
Yeah.
no going back.
If the episode ended where they injected her in the neck and she passed out and fell back, yeah, I would have to agree with you. This episode would not have made sense. There was no reason to build her up. But because of the last 10 to 15 minutes of it, and it shows how that built her to who she is now it makes sense. Like I had no quims with episode 3 of The Last of Us. I just said it would fit better in an anthology type series instead of that one.
From that, yes,
yeah.
Dude, I think we even like pitched like the anthology idea. Like, listen, here's like 5 stories that could be the 5 or 6 story run. And it's a
like the start of the Jackson town, the older Native American couple.
Yep. Oh, dude, I love those guys. I love them. That would have been a great story to see.
Yeah,
that would have been a great story to see. Just a story from within the quarantine zone before Joel takes the job to take Ellie out. I wouldn't have minded seeing more out of that, of course, but that's on that show. But they, like you said, they inserted that there. They won their awards. It was divisive and controversial. Yay, whatever. This episode here, I think that even if they didn't do that last 10-minute connection, it's still better than the episode of The Last of Us, because at least this episode in The Penguin was about one of our lead characters of the damn show. The problem with the flashback episode in Last of Us was it was side characters, one of whom you never met in person, in real time. Actually, both, because I don't think they never met Bill. They got to his place and he was gone.
And there was letters,
if I remember, and there was letters,
messages,
right? Basically, like the found footage stuff from like the game. No, Bill was in the game. We found the letter of the ex that broke up with him. But anyway, In this show, though, the flashback episode they gave you, and then also in episode 3 when they gave us flashback to Vic's family, it at least built characters that we know we're spending time with going forward, characters that impact the story. So not only did Sophia's story drive the plot forward, it strapped it to a fucking rocket and shot it. Like, this is it, dude. The pedal just went from like 40 to 60 for her, or maybe 70 or 80, because it definitely went to 70 or 80 for Oz last week. He ditched Sophia. He's boned. Like, the other family's on his ass now. Like, where does he go from here? To the triads? Like, that's why I wanted the 10 minutes, dude. I'm like, I need to know what happened. There's no Oz here to tell me what the hell is going on. But episode 5 is going to be a banger. Dude, I bet his mom gets it in 5. Ooh, hot prediction for episode 5, dude.
Because she made that comment. She made that comment. They see you now, and now everyone you love is on their radar.
Oh yeah. Oh,
but did you happen to see?
That was like 10 years ago, though. But they must know she's alive.
The preview for the next episode.
No, dude, I watched all the creator
It's at
stuff.
the very end.
Was there clips?
No, it was like a little bit, and like you hear. Like,
dude, I bet I cut it right after they were done. The crew was done talking, and like went to grab a sandwich or something. I'll have to go back and look.
It gets you hyped for the next one, because it's like one family down, one family to go.
God, that's what I'm talking about.
It's like it's
why is every show that good? Dude, that was so good. We're in it now, Beck. We're really fucking now. Like, dude, where does he go? Like, I don't like. How do you even speculate that? It's like, if she's alive, he has to assume Sophia's alive, right? Just as like a risk assessment situation.
Because he sees them getting in the car and driving away as well as he's driving away. He sees the Marconi's driving away.
The Marconi's driving away, right?
Yeah.
So he knows they're alive. I'm saying he needs to assume that Sophia's alive.
Yeah, because the only person was shot was the one person. No, he saw her. Because there's the end where he's like, she's leaned up against the wall, and he looks, and he just, and then they drive off.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so he knows she's alive.
Yes,
but he probably has no idea she's gonna go gun for the entire family and kill them all. So he's got to assume now it's 2 families and the triads who he screwed because they're not gonna get in on their deal. I'd take that personal if I was triad.
There was a line in it, like, one family down, one left to go.
Dude, in the preview, you mean?
Yeah, in the preview.
Yeah. Okay, right. Like as of the next episode. So he must think that there's I don't know, man. I can't wait till next Sunday. That's all I'm saying.
And he gets his
not
crew,
very many shows like that.
The crew that they try to disband, he's there talking to them, and he's like, "It's us now."
Oh, see, all right. If this is some Penguin rise to power shit like that, that's what I'm here for. But I mean, it's his one crew. How many crews do you think the Falcons have? You know what I mean? Like, is that enough? And when he finds out Sophia's team, because if she's teaming with Johnny, or if she might just torture him and kill him. I don't know why she left him alive. That's another great story angle they got to resolve. Like, is she using him to keep as a figurehead of power because he's a guy? I don't know.
He's the one who knows where the bodies are buried. He knows everybody. He's the contact person.
See, so yeah. Dude, I can't wait, dude. I can't wait.
Yeah, but that's the other thing is, like,
I haven't been disappointed yet.
You don't know who's going to be loyal to her now that she's taken power. She's usurped the title. So who's going to stay loyal to her?
Else, dude, but who else is there with the legit claim? Like, your average Joe Schmo that works the block doesn't have a claim to the family. He can try, I guess, but like that usually
they don't have to stay loyal to that family, because there's another family that you go to, and now the Penguin trying to make his play as a third option.
That's true. They're not all Falcons. That's right.
Yeah,
they're just people that grew up in the neighborhood or in freelancers and shit. That's true. So yeah, dude, that'd be it's gonna be slamming. All right, dude. I'm not doing a rating. I already said that, dude. I don't know if you have any other closing comments. If you wanted to lay it on there, do you want to do a rating? I really don't want to, because I just liked it.
If you stuck around this long, we raved about the show. Go see what we're talking about.
Yeah, let us know in the comments, of course, after we post the feed here. If we missed something that was like critical story detail, call us out in the comments. We'll chat about it, I'm sure. I might even want to talk about this again after I think of more stuff on Frostcast, which obviously is Wednesday, 9:00 Eastern. That's going to be a whole new set of things to go over. Though, look at that, we got words, and times. But all right, if that's going to do it for us, Kingsley, do our teary-eyed, extensive readout.
Well, see ya.